Hello, history enthusiasts, and welcome to another journey through time on our channel. If you're passionate about unraveling the fascinating origins of nations and empires, you're in for a treat. Today, we're heading to the rugged landscapes of Eastern Europe to discover the birth of one of the world's largest and most powerful nations, Russia. From the mysterious lands of the early Slavs to the rise of the mighty Kievan Rus, this is the epic tale of how Russia was born. So grab a cozy seat, relax, and let's dive deep into the rich and complex origins of this incredible country, the story of how Russia was born. The origins of Russia are steeped in both legend and history, dating back over 1,000 years to a time when Eastern Europe was home to various Slavic tribes. The land that would one day become Russia was a vast and untamed wilderness, stretching from the Baltic Sea in the north to the Black Sea in the south. This early era, known as the Migration Period, saw different groups of people, including the Eastern Slavs, slowly establishing themselves across the forests, rivers, and plains of what is now modern-day Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. Our story begins in the 9th century, with the rise of the first significant political entity in this region, the Kievan Rus. This early federation of Slavic tribes was centered around the city of Kyiv, modern-day Kyiv, Ukraine. But its influence spread far and wide, laying the foundations for the future Russian state. The Kievan Rus would become the cultural and political cradle of modern Russia, and it all started with a mysterious people known as the Varangians. The Varangians were Viking traders and warriors from Scandinavia, primarily Sweden, who ventured eastward along the many rivers of Eastern Europe. Their influence on the region was immense. According to the Old Russian Primary Chronicle, a key historical document from this time, these Varangians, also called Rus, played a vital role in unifying the Eastern Slavs. Around 862, the Varangian chieftain Rurik was invited by the local Slavic and Finnic tribes to rule over them and bring order to the land. Rurik accepted, establishing his capital in Novgorod, a city in the north. This marks the beginning of what is considered the Rurik dynasty, a line that would go on to shape Russian history for centuries. Rurik's successors, especially his relative Oleg of Novgorod, took bold steps to expand their influence southward. In 882, Oleg captured the city of Kyiv, strategically located on the Dnieper River, which connected the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. By making Kyiv his capital, Oleg united the northern and southern Slavic tribes under one banner, establishing what would become the Kievan Rus state. This was a critical moment in the birth of Russia, as Kyiv would, while the Mongol yoke cast a shadow over the region for nearly 250 years, it was during this time that a new center of power began to rise in the northeast, Moscow. In the late 13th century, the small and relatively insignificant town of Moscow began to grow in prominence under the leadership of its princes. One key figure in this transformation was Ivan I of Moscow, who skillfully navigated his relations with the Mongols to gain favor and secure the title of Grand Prince. The real turning point came in the late 14th century with Dmitry Donskoy, the Prince of Moscow, who led a coalition of Russian princes in the famous Battle of Kulikovo in 1380, dealing the Mongols a significant blow. Although the Mongol dominance continued for some time after, this battle was symbolic of Moscow's growing strength and the beginning of the end for Mongol rule in the region. In the centuries that followed, Moscow would become the spiritual and political center of what would eventually become Russia. The Grand Duchy of Moscow steadily expanded its influence, eventually uniting the former lands of Kievan Rus under its control. In 1480, under Ivan III, also known as Ivan the Great, Moscow officially threw off the Mongol yoke, declaring independence and laying claim to the legacy of Kievan Rus. Ivan married Sophia Palaiologina, a niece of the last Byzantine emperor, further linking Moscow to the legacy of Byzantium. By this time, Moscow was seen as the Third Rome, the rightful heir to the Christian Orthodox world. With the rise of Ivan IV, better known as Ivan the Terrible, in the 16th century, Moscow transformed into the Tsardom of Russia, marking the beginning of Russia as we know it today. Ivan's reign would expand the Russian state dramatically, pushing its borders eastward and consolidating power under a centralized monarchy. And that, my friends, is how Russia was born. From the early Slavic tribes to the rise of the mighty Kievan Rus, and eventually the powerful Grand Duchy of Moscow that would grow into one of the largest empires the world has ever seen. I hope you enjoyed this journey through time as much as I did. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment below with your thoughts. There's so much more to explore about Russia's incredible history, and we're just getting started. Thank you for watching, and as always, I truly appreciate your support. Be sure to subscribe and join me for the next adventure into the pages of history. Until then, take care, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.